Do you know where you live? You live in Jamaica, the beautiful paradise where more than 1 billion tourists vacation annually. On today's edition of Jamaica Magazine, we celebrate our island paradise. We might be small when compared to others, but trust me, we are known. Did you know that come this week we'll be welcoming a royal princess and Britain's Prime Minister? It's true. What a nice place to live in, Sweet Jangdong. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. The magazine unfolds right now.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
How fitting it is that as the country observes Tourism Awareness Week, Jamaica will host the closing ceremony of the Caribbean-Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue, CCELD. The conference happens September 30 through to October 4, under the patronage of Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. Up next, we speak with two former members of the Emerging Leaders Dialogue as they shed light on this important initiative.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about the importance of dialogue, the importance of collaboration, and we speak specifically of the Caribbean-Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue meeting, the conclusion of which will be held in Jamaica. We have two persons who have been intimately associated with this program. Sandra Glasgow, former co-chair of the 2011 program, and Omar Sweeney, who was a participant in the program and who is also intimately involved in this year's planning. We thank you so much for your company. Ladies and gentlemen, good to have you on Issues and Answers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Sandra, you were involved with the 2011 program. Give us a background to this Caribbean-Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue. What is that about?
Well, the dialogue came out of a very successful Commonwealth Leaders Conference, which has been held since 1956 and which was started by the Duke of Edinburgh in the UK. Those conferences brought together leaders from all over the Commonwealth, and in the latter years they have been twinning certain parts of the Commonwealth. So we have Africa Pacific programs or Canada Pacific programs, and in 2011 we had the first Canada Caribbean Emerging Leaders Dialogue. Actually, it was a Caribbean-Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue, and we are repeating it this year. And it's really an initiative to develop leaders, and the program is unique because it brings together leaders, young leaders in different sectors. We focus on the private sector, government, labor, and the not-for-profit sector.
Yes, civil society. Yes.
Civil society, and those leaders come together and spend about 2 weeks between Canada and the Caribbean, meeting other leaders, learning to work together, to explore issues that are common to both regions, and to really cement the relationships between them, because, you know, really, leadership is all about how you relate to people.
Yes.
And so it really puts leaders in a situation where they're honing their leadership competencies and learning a lot more about each other than they would normally do on their own.
Yes. Omar, how useful did you find this dialogue as a former participant?
Well, you know, I tell you something, and in our society there's so much talk about leadership and leading and emerging leaders. And in 2011, when Scotiabank had launched the dialogue here, I'd seen it in the media, the article on the launch. They were a major sponsor, they're a major sponsor this year, and I was immediately drawn to it. I was drawn to it simply because the way it was structured. It wasn't very formal and teaching type
Yes.
leadership. And what I found, not knowing what to expect when I got to Ottawa, was that they really did an excellent job in targeting the leaders that came. You know, I found myself really surrounded by 119 other persons with similar aspirations like myself, really just wanting to know, you know, how do you really take on some of life challenges and how do you solve some of life's problems? And being able to have that free flow and exposure to so many different aspects, like Sandra pointed out, you know, from labor, NGO, government, private sector, and seeing their perspective to the same problems that we all face as leaders, was really useful. And the period of not only being exposed there, but also being put in different environments. I mean, we went from the boardroom of the headquarters of Scotiabank to a tribal council of the Native Indians in Canada. And I mean, and you have to adapt and be able to engage and really dive in at what the issues are. And so this was something that was really, in Belize, we found ourselves similarly in like a tribal Indian rural countryside area, which coming from the region, you'd think never, you know, you'd be exposed to such a thing and see what the leadership issues are, because each and every single place we were strategically thrust into leadership councils and things, people solving everyday problems. So it really was a period that I found to be most useful. And if anything, I learned that really we're all leaders in our own right. And the recognition of that is something that's important as leaders, that we can understand and be able to, you know, help us to be successful.
We're talking about leadership, more particularly the Caribbean Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue, the final session of which will be held in Jamaica. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
There'll be a better tomorrow. 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 There'll be a day. There'll be a way. There'll come a time to sing a brand new song. There'll be a better tomorrow.
Welcome back. We're talking about the Caribbean Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue, an important forum where persons from the Caribbean and Canada come together to discuss critical issues. This year, the issue of innovation and transformation is what the theme is about, and we have two persons who have been intimately associated with this dialogue on the program, Sandra Glasgow and Omar Sweeney. Sandra, the Princess Royal is intimately involved in this program and in fact will be visiting
Yes.
Jamaica.
So up to 2011, it was the Duke of Edinburgh who was who acted as patron, but of course he's you know, advancing in age, so he has passed over the presidency of the organization to Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. She came to Jamaica in 2011, and we had wonderful interactions with her. And she's coming back this year to close the dialogue. And the closing ceremony is taking place in Jamaica this year.
Yes. The importance of this dialogue, especially between first world country like Canada and third world countries like us in the Caribbean. Set that in context for us, Sandra. Why is that so critical for this dialogue to take place between the North and the South?
Yes. Well, I think the Caribbean and Canada have had a particularly long
partnership.
and engaging partnership. And I think the organizers felt that this was a natural fit between two regions that have cooperated and collaborated on many aspects of our economic and political and social life. I think it's really very important for us to understand our own contexts. I found last time that there were several people who had never been to Canada, and of course Canadians who had never been to the Caribbean. And if we are going to cement those ties at all levels, I think first getting to know each other, to understand the context in which we live, is a really critical thing, and I think that's what the dialogue seeks to do. So not only does it help to develop the leadership competencies of the participants, but it exposes them to the nuances of the particular areas, as Omar said. They visited tribal communities in Canada, and also in the Caribbean we have tribal communities. So I think that both the Caribbean people and some of whom have never been to some of the Caribbean islands as well, deepen their relationships with each other, and in the process are learning critical skills about how to become better leaders.
So the Jamaican leg, which would last about 4 days, would consist of what? The groups coming together now to swap notes, to exchange ideas about what they have gleaned from previous days?
Because you would be in Canada for the opening ceremony, where you'd be as a group. You would go through some sessions, storming, norming type sessions. Once you break away and you go to the different parts of Canada and the Caribbean, you would want to come back to Jamaica here now and really sit down and share collectively. Remember now that what will happen if you have 4 people or 9 people are going from Jamaica, they're going to be split amongst the 9 groups.
Yes.
Right? And so even that is a wealth of information that when they come back together, and you share that for the 2 days, and then you also start preparing your own group report to say what your perspective is, and each person is given, each group is given like a sub-theme for what their group would be. And so this is where the Princess Royal would engage the groups also, because she does share a genuine interest in learning what the experiences are, and so she spends
she
time.
herself would go to the session, would have
Goes to the
interaction,
sessions and have
she has interaction with the groups,
Absolutely.
and asks tough questions too.
so she doesn't just give an address.
Yeah, because
no.
She's there. She
She's
interacts.
very integrally involved in the discussions.
and she's an exposed person, so she knows the issues, and so she asks really point questions, and so even as leaders to interact and be able to respond at that level is something that is really worthwhile for the groups. And so there will be a few marquee speakers that come in, Jamaican leaders of industry that would come in and also speak to the group, address the group, and so that is really what the culmination is of the conference. And then of course what goes on forever is a sustainable lifelong network that you have.
That's what I was about to ask. What happens after the dialogue?
Right.
Former co-chair.
Yes. Well, I mean,
does the network
absolutely.
continue?
And I have participated. I didn't participate in this in the CCLD, but I'm an Eisenhower fellow, and I can tell you, once you have been through these kinds of programs, you develop lifelong relationships. Not only that, by virtue of the fact that you have been a part of the program, whether or not you had a chance to be in somebody's group or not, or whether you traveled with them or not, just the mere fact that you are part of this community allows you access to those people. And indeed, not just the CCLD, but the Commonwealth Leadership Conferences in total. So it's a real I think it's a real benefit to anybody who participates, because they are going to have the opportunity to develop their leadership skills and broaden their exposure to leadership in many different ways.
Yes. And this year the emphasis is on innovation and transformation?
Yes, that's really the emphasis this year. And you can see from the selection, especially the Jamaican contingent, I'm telling you, is quite impressive that we have sent the person, and it was quite competitive.
Yes.
You'd be surprised. Persons really have come forward.
Yes. They apply.
We applied.
They have to apply, and then the selection committee sifts through the applications, decides who will be invited for an interview, and they go through quite a rigorous interview process. And after that, a selection is made. So we have actually selected 9 people from Jamaica, 6 women and 3 men.
Oh,
we have
that's a good mix.
we have 5 from the government sector, 3 from the private sector, and there's 1 labor leader, the president of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, the secretary.
The secretary.
Of the Jamaica
the
Civil
president
Service
is an alumni.
Association. Right.
The current president is an alumni.
So yes, it's you have to go through quite a competitive process in order to be part of the program.
But it is all worth it.
Yes, I certainly think so.
So the experiences gained are invaluable.
Yes.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say in closing that we have to thank our sponsors. Scotiabank has come on board again, and Flow and the Exim Bank has been very pivotal. And our co-chair this year is Mrs. Lisa Bell, the Managing Director of the Exim Bank, and she's done a fantastic job along with her.
Also an alumna.
Yes. Also
All right. So let the dialogue continue. The Caribbean Canada Emerging Dialogue Leaders Dialogue. The final session will be held here in Jamaica. Stay tuned to us on Issues and Answers. You'll get the information that is really crucial. Until next week, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
Stop smoking around me! Without cigarettes, the world will be much better. Smoking is bad for your health, and when grown-ups smoke around us, we are breathing in their smoke too.
Cigarette smoking is bad for your health and the health of those around you. Don't smoke around children. A message from the Pan American Health Organization.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
Several strategies have been implemented to increase the impact the tourism sector has on the livelihood of Jamaicans across the island. Sectors such as manufacturing, agriculture and entertainment are directly being impacted. This Tourism Awareness Week, let's celebrate the contributions of this industry.
Contribution that tourism has made to this economy and to this country, as you're aware, is our #1 foreign exchange earner. In 2014, we had over $2 billion US earned by this industry. It is good that it earns the US dollars, but outside of that, you have to look at all the opportunities that obtain and that's around the tourism. This year's theme, 1 billion tourists, 1 billion opportunities. It is really an industry that is tied into so many other industries. And you have to look at it holistically and look at the contribution in its completion, because tourism, I think, is at 11% of the economy at this time, GDP. It is an interesting industry, lots of opportunities for the youngsters. There's a significant growth taking place in the industry, albeit slowly, but I think it's significant because it's steady and it's consistent, and the nature of the industry. We are looking at several new hotel rooms going in. We are looking at several new facilities being opened, and the industry continues to grow in terms of the employment of the younger people. So again, we are at 1 billion tourists, 1 billion opportunity. This year we'll celebrate this week, the 27th to the 3rd of October, which is in line with the International World Tourism Organization, World Tourism Day, which is the start of the celebrations. There are several linkages that takes place with tourism in manufacturing, in the various areas of food and beverage, The other day we had the opportunity to go up into the east of Montego Bay. We were talking farming and the linkages of tourism with farming in the western side of the island. Well, throughout the island here it is rural. A lot of the farmers, they make their subsistence from tourism. That's some of the things that we make that connection. A lot of the employment of the people in that region is through tourism.
With respect to Tourism Awareness Week, or I should say coming on the heels of JPEX, we would like to continue providing opportunities for our local sector. So, for the businesses to be stronger through supplying the tourism sector, principally with inputs that are used. The tourism sector uses everything that everybody uses, but the linkages hub or the linkages secretariat is really pushing for the tourism sector to absorb more of these inputs. So with respect to Tourism Awareness Week, what you will have from the Tourism Linkages Hub is a number of businesses displaying what products they provide that can be used in the tourism industry.
Program implementation remains strong. We also welcome the recent wage agreements. It was a proactive and important step in reducing Jamaica's public debt. A gradual economic recovery is underway. The growth outlook is improving. Growth is now projected to be about 1.4% for this fiscal year.
The government of Jamaica is on a mission, going for growth, staying the course, and transforming the economy through its economic reform program.
People, why do we continue to litter? It's not that hard to properly dispose of our garbage. The government has to be spending funds to clean up communities when that money could be directed to other sectors. We're losing wildlife and damaging our beaches due to garbage. Ecosystems that are required for our sustainability are being eroded.
The fact that people are just throwing and littering in the community, in this area, but the fact that in the communities around Jamaica, that litter is being thrown into the gullies and the drains. It's washing down, in this case, washing down like the Hope River and then washing up on our beaches. If this is the case here on the beaches, imagine what the problem is out on the floor of the sea.
Let's endeavor to not dirty up Jamaica. As you go about your week, I leave this quote in your heart. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. Words of Maya Angelou. I'm Adrian Atkinson, signing off for Jamaica Magazine. For more on the working visit of Princess Anne and the Caribbean-Canada Emerging Leaders Dialogue, click on our webpage, jis.gov.jm. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So log on and stay in the know. Have yourselves a happy Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.